Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here. Welcome once again to the Barely Touched Him podcast. I am your host, Benrys, joined by my good friend, Cos.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, mate.
What a big week it has been.
It's been a massive, massive week in many respects for the football world and for our world as well.
Worth noting, this is a special weekend recording for us. This is a Sunday as we sit here.
A little Sunday afternoon in Perth.
Yeah.
And, you know, the elephant in the room is we just had the WWE show here in Perth last night.
Huge.
The Elimination Chamber. I went there. I did have a couple of ales after having the month off the booze. Been off the booze, and this is my first night back on the beers.
It is tricky when you're not piss fit.
I was not piss fit. I did all right. Like, I made sure to eat food, and I was but still probably had a little bit too much to drink, so I was a bit dusty this morning. But, Nadia got to the cafe and gave me a little Sanger wrap, and I was good to go.
My arm was so close to being twisted up until the 11th hour to actually get tickets and go. But in the end, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because otherwise I would have probably drunk a million beers.
Yes.
It was good to just sit and watch the stream. And the stream looked incredible.
It
looked really good.
The first thing that struck me was the size of the structure when I got there. Because me and my mates were way up in the nosebleeds. We're up on like the top tier of Optus. So I'm thinking, I'm fine with visibility not being good. You know, it's all right. I'm just happy to be here. It's a WWE pay-per-view in fucking Perth. We never get that. It may never happen again. And the structure that surrounds the ring, like the truss system and the big screens, massive. Absolutely huge.
They kept saying 10 tons and 2 kilometers or 2 miles of reinforced steel.
It's solid steel.
So, okay. I don't know about those stats, but we'll take you at face value.
I also liked how much money that Tourism WA clearly gave to the commentary team to keep saying, "Oh, we're here in Perth. We're walking on a dream.
Well,
we're walking on a dream."
The promo package. The WA promo package that they played on the stream was beautiful.
Yeah, we look good, don't we?
I've
really
seen
good.
a lot of them, like when they did UFC here, they cut one, and when there's other sporting events and whatnot. I've seen the tourism packages they put together.
And they just show like the bell tower.
This one was incredible.
They showed
really
the Kimberley, the Gorges, all of the beautiful.
Even just around Perth. I was like, damn, I want to go there. Wait, I am here.
Wait, we are here. Yeah. It's not that good in real life, really. It's not. We have our moments.
What surprised me about the chamber itself as well, or what I wasn't expecting, because I'm not as across wrestling as perhaps you are, is there is the actual pods in the corner. I didn't know that was part of it.
Yeah, so that's it was a brainchild of, I think, Eric Bischoff who used to run WCW. He came up with this match type. And the pods have changed in their structure a little bit over time. They used to be more cage looking. Now it's like the plexiglass, the perspex stuff.
Well, it allows for more interaction.
Yeah,
when they're in there,
and you can get speared through it, and it doesn't hurt as much.
That did happen in the male
You're
match.
always, you can guarantee at least twice in a match someone's gonna be sprawling in a heap through the perspex, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And I thought the men's chamber match was really good.
It was good. I enjoyed Logan Paul, the door opening and him trying to close it because the other fella was there waiting for him.
Yeah, that's always a good slapstick gag.
And then they had the fight as if they were in a phone booth. That was very good.
Yeah, I liked it. Although one thing, I have a few critiques of the card. One, it needed The Rock to show up.
Yes.
Or it needed that talk show segment of the Grayson Waller effect was where everyone was thinking, oh my God, they're going to bring out The Rock, or they're going to bring out, something big had to happen, because it just felt like a massive lull, and it felt like it was ramping up to something that never happened, and it was completely took the wind out of the sails of everyone around my section anyway.
Yeah.
We were all
when
like, oh my
there
God,
was no Rock.
When's The Rock coming out? We were all like fever pitch. It was begging for it, and he couldn't be asked coming to Perth. So Rock, you're on my shit list.
Yeah.
John Cena's a better actor than you
Hang
by
on.
a country
write
mile.
that down.
You've just made the list. Rock. Who else is on my list?
Shit list.
Yeah, no, Rock's would be right up the top of the shit
Kane Cornes
list.
is recently off the shit list.
Kane Cornes was never on the shit list. We're close personal friends.
He was on my shit list, but now he's off.
And we'll get to Sam McClure's on the shit list. Put him on the shit list.
But look, I did enjoy the wrestling a lot. The one thing I would say as a critique is that all the matches were quite predictable.
Yes.
Even though I'm not aware of who most of the wrestlers were before they came out, just by the commentary team, projecting to you who the heel is and who the face is and like who's dominant or whatever, I was like, oh, they're going to win. And they did every time.
And that was disappointing for me as well. But keep in mind, where if you're a, late 20s wrestling male fan, you're probably a degenerate looking at the odds on Sportsbet, which usually have it right. So I did this and I'm like, oh, well, Becky's going to win the chamber. She's betting favourite. Yep. Drew's going to win the chamber. He's betting favourite.
Ripley was,
and they did. Yeah,
Ripley was $1.02.
But they were never going to put the belt on Nia Jax. And this is my other critique. Nia Jax should not be main eventing pay-per-view. She's not a good wrestler. Yes,
she put on a pretty decent show.
It's one of the better matches I've seen her work, but
I wasn't expecting her to be so large.
Yeah, well, it's not that she's large. I don't want to sound like a fat phobic person because I am an ally, and there are big lady and big women and big boy wrestlers that can still go. That are still like fat cardio good. Like Kevin Owens is a big guy. And he is, he's very agile for his size.
I liked his neck rolls, the back of the neck rolls.
There's a bigger girl called Piper Niven, who is she is quite large, but she can absolutely go in the ring. Nia can't take a bump.
No,
she can't do a flat back bump.
It was hard watching her after watching the women's elimination chamber, which was incredible.
Yeah, night and day, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's night and day.
I didn't know who any of them were, so as they were coming out, I was like, oh, it's Avril Lavigne, but with an ass. Oh, it's the big-breasted one. Oh, it's the Irish one.
We're not meant to objectify the female superstars anymore.
Yes.
No, they're athletes now, Corey. We can't do that. And they tore the house down. But yes, they are pretty women.
Now, listen, we are a football podcast. Should we move on to some football news?
We can move on to the football. We can move on to the other sports entertainment.
WWE, big tick.
Big tick, loved it.
Do you think it'll ever come back?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Maybe it won't be Perth next, but if we throw enough money at them, surely, we've got a big budget surplus from Marky Mark.
So first of all, it's been a huge week for you specifically because you have had you have ingratiated yourself within the walls of the Collingwood Football Club.
Yes.
With a viral hit.
So I wrote a song, a parody sort of
Many of the listeners have probably already heard it.
It's been the biggest week of my #influencer career. I get it. Corey's going to play it.
I've got it here. We can kind of talk over the top of it. Oh.
There we go. Oh, you're not bringing the sound up.
No.
Oh, Corey's trying to play the video.
I fucked it.
But he's fucked it, so it's not. We don't have to listen to it.
Okay.
It's all right. It's all right. Either way, it's Let It Be by the Beatles, but Pendlebury. Yeah. And it's gone off. It's done very well. And within maybe 24 hours of me putting it up, it was clear that this was doing the circles in sort of football media. And it was very surreal for me because even though I've gotten some engagement with AFL players before and media people before. Kane Corns follows me on TikTok and I tell everyone every chance I get. But this was on a bigger level and I got a message from the producer of Kane and Kingy, as in Kane Corns and David King on SEN. And long-time listeners of the show will know we worship David King. We do. First Crack is the greatest show on television, and we've been pissing in his pocket for years, telling him how good he is.
You sent the text exchange that you were having with the producer from SEN to me, and I lost it. I
couldn't believe it.
I was like, "You're going to be on the radio with Kingy." That's fucking crazy.
I was like, and it was at 5 a.m. our time because it's breakfast radio over east, and we're in Perth.
Yeah,
and that's the most nervous I've ever been for anything. And I go pretty well under pressure. Oh, yes, here's the song.
There it is.
Heavy traffic 1v3. Kick the ball to Scotty. Pendlebury.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
There we go. We don't have to listen to the whole thing.
We'll just have it played. I'm sure most of our listeners have probably heard it. But if you haven't, it is on Ben's both Instagram and TikTok.
They got reposted by a bunch of people, and then 7AFL reposted it, and then
that was huge.
Before I know it, it's going off on Instagram as well, which isn't really my wheelhouse.
No.
Then Scott Pendlebury himself reshares it onto his story.
Yeah.
So now not only am I getting
And then
engagement from David
comments
King,
on it too.
our Lord and Saviour, Scott Pendlebury comments on the post, reshares it, and goes like, "Love it" or whatever. It was a positive feedback. And then Scott Pendlebury's brother messages me like the next morning. Yes, the cheapest.
I love the 150
the
bit.
150 line of the bottle of red because I bitch about how expensive his wine is in the song. So Scott Pendlebury's brother messages me and is like, "Hey, we're big fans of the song. Scott wants to send you a bottle of his wine." I'm like, "You're fucking kidding." Yes, and I've received that. It's just been a very big whirlwind week. I'm now, after the Kane and King interview, writing a theme tune for them. That's what eventuated out of it. It's in the works. I've just got to record it, but I have got it in the noodle.
I couldn't believe, because I woke up, it was like 5 o'clock, or that 5 o'clock our time, 5:30 that you were on. I was listening to it live, and I couldn't believe how keen they were. They're like, "We got to get him back on."
It was really, it was really,
it was great.
It was very humbling, and
they were very gracious.
Perhaps the craziest online interaction I got with a figure from this was I get a message on TikTok from user 5263 whatever, when the random generated you're a new TikTok user name with no profile picture, saying, "Hey Ben, Craig McRae, coach of the Pies. Love your Pendle song. I was wondering if you would ever be willing to play it live for us, maybe in a midweek meeting or match day. Happy to chat through where and when if you are keen. Chat soon. Fly."
Yeah.
Like, what? I was at work when I saw this going, "What the fuck? This is surely a scam. This is surely someone having a prank on me." So I reply with, "Is this real? It seems like a dodgy Craig McRae impersonator with no profile picture." I chucked a cry laugh emoji in there to make it, like I'm not being aggressive towards him, just in case it is Craig McRae.
It is real, of course.
He says, "Haha, sorry mate, yes it's me. Don't know how to use this properly. Happy for you to send me an email at redacted, at email address that looks like a Collingwood email address."
I have the unredacted one, and I've been sending him some very lewd pictures, and he has not responded to any of them.
He's just on the phone going, "Whose package is this? It's an interesting looking set."
Well, they're tasteful. I have been covering my privates with Collingwood memorabilia, of course.
That's like a calendar shoot.
Yes,
yes. Very good. So I said, "No worries, mate. I'll send you an email." And then I send him one. I think the subject I put legit ? And I was like, "Hello, is this the real Craig McRae? This is Benrys."
Again, the whole time that this is happening, because this has all happened over the course of like 36 hours.
Yeah, it was
it's ascending and ascending to more crazier and crazier heights. And when it's got to this bit, and at every step, me and also the other boys in the group chat are just losing our minds.
It was wild.
This is incredible.
It still doesn't feel quite real that any of this happened. But yes, I've been in touch with Craig McRae. The club enjoy the song, and we might be doing something in the future, is what's going on there.
Now, for the rest of the year, whenever we mention Pendles or Craig McRae, we can give them the pre-moniker close personal friend of the show.
Yeah, absolutely close personal friends of the show, Craig McRae and David King and Kane Corns.
Incredible,
absolutely good.
Incredible. But hats off to you, Benrys. That is fantastic. We'll move on to some other footy. The match sims have been on, which, people pay too much attention to the match sims? Yes.
I don't. Well, people pay too much for sure. Yes.
There's been articles flying about players overperforming or underperforming.
They're getting more time in the midfield.
It's a match sim.
Yes,
it's a sim. It's not real. And first of all, quarters. There's 6 of them.
Yeah. Do they still call them? I think they call them periods. They call them periods because
I'd prefer them to still be quarters, even though there's 6.
Yeah, it just feels right to call them a quarter.
But
I think I've watched a total of maybe half an hour accumulative. I'll chuck them on KO and go, this is
just
boring.
To have a look.
I'm bored here. I don't care about the result. I mean, the only thing I care about them for is being a fantasy football degenerate and seeing who's going to be...
Probably the biggest, definitely fantasy stuff is good for
We've
that.
got our draft coming up in about a week's time.
If anyone's got any good hotlines on some Smokies, DM me.
Oh, yes.
So probably the biggest story is SPP in hot water already from the match
for the big hit.
Very big hit.
So I have seen the footage of this hit. And I forget who did he clip. It was...
I can't remember who he got.
I can't remember either. But It's almost. I do think he should get suspended for it because it is like he raises his
all
shoulder
the
and he
events
bumps.
of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That's you got to be gone.
Absolutely.
You gotta be gone.
But I think he's got a bit of a case on his hands because the guy that he bumped was in the midst of being tackled and he sort of gets slung towards him last second.
Yeah.
I still think it's a dirty hit and, you know, it's probably
it's
a
also
week's
hard
work.
because there's only one shot of it,
Yeah,
and it's
you
quite
can't-
far away, and so it seems like it's all perhaps not.
Either
happening.
way, he does do a bumping action. Like he
big
does
time.
raise the shoulder up and he hits
Boom.
a bloke in the head. So I think that is intent to
problem,
bump.
The problem with SPP is he's an absolute cannonball, though.
Yeah.
So it's hard for him to.
You can't
not,
rein him in.
Yeah,
You can't rein him in.
If he's out there, he's going to be running through people.
And that's the way you want Sam Powell-Pepper to play as well. And these things are going to happen. And this is now a good link into one of the biggest stories of the week, which is obviously Angus Brayshaw retiring due to lingering concussions, the many concussions he's had throughout his career. And, you know, this is unfortunately part of football. Yes, you can mitigate it. Yes, we can try and limit the risk as much as we can, but people are always going to get concussed.
Yeah,
it's baked into the contact sport.
There's an inherent risk that you take. And perhaps it's an uninformed one because people get into football when they're children.
Yes.
But, I mean, no one's demanding that you make it your career at 15, 16, 17.
There's another side argument to that, though, that if you are already, a hot shit footballer by the time that you're 15, 16, you already know that you've got a shot usually. You're playing for an elite private school. You're in a development side for like a state team. You're being groomed to be a professional footballer and you've got the blinders on. Like it's all you want to do. So even but at that point, you can't really, you're a child. You're a child. You can't adequately comprehend risk. You can't adequately comprehend like that center of your brain. You're not developed yet.
It's tough.
So you're already on the, it is tough. It's tough, isn't it?
I say, keep the meat going into the grinder. It's worth it for the rest of us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and look, I've been concussed a few times playing football.
I've been concussed many times not playing football.
Yeah. What's the weirdest concussion you've
I
had?
was saying g'day to the pavement and things like that.
Yeah, just falling over, oh dear, I've taken a tumble.
Sometimes assisted, sometimes not.
I got concussed by a teammate once. Like I was going back with the flight and him and his man were behind me and we've all come into the pack, but it was my teammate's knee that hit me in the back of the head and just fucking pancaked me. And I played out the rest of the game. Like I was absolutely concussed. But, I'm 19, young, dumb, full of cum. I'd be like, I'm going to play. Yeah, let's go. Shouldn't have done it. Absolutely shouldn't have done it.
Before we truly get off the match sims, I've just got one more that's quite funny. Have you ever been to Queensland, Ben?
Yes, a couple of times.
Have you been to kind of northern or rural Queensland?
No.
So you've never seen a bush turkey?
No, I've seen a bush turkey.
You've seen a bush turkey?
No, they are a bit south as well.
Oh, okay, right.
Yes.
So the Brisbane game, because these match sims are played on kind of more regional.
Tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was a bush turkey on the ground for 4 of the 6 quarters, and at times it was getting quite
How
close,
did I miss this?
Quite close to the play.
Oh, man.
Very good stuff. I saw some vision of it. Very funny.
I've got a bit of a bird phobia, as you
Yes,
know.
you do, yes.
But it's larger birds.
Yes,
so
right.
bush turkey's on the edge of fear for me because they're decent size.
Think of the biggest rooster ever.
They're big enough to really make me wary of them. And I first saw one when my cousin had a wedding in Byron Bay, and like a destination wedding, went over there.
Good spot of the world.
And there's bush turkeys there, but no one had briefed me on the existence of bush turkeys.
No,
Never
the
seen
first
one
time
before.
I saw one, we were driving down the road. I was like, what
the fuck is that?
thing?
What the fuck is that thing?
And the first thing I said was, do you guys eat them? They're like, oh, no good.
Now I kind of want to eat one.
No good. You can't eat them.
I was the first time I saw one, I was going down to the beach, like with my uncle, and it's come out of a large pile of leaves next to me in almost scripted fashion for a surprise bush turkey encounter for someone scared of birds. It's just gone and just fucking jump scared me. I flipped out and gone, what the fuck? And my uncle's laughed and it's like, oh, you don't like birds, man? I'm like, yeah, no, absolutely not. What the fuck is that, Gary? What is that?
People that are afraid of birds, the reactions that they have to a bird is funnier than people that are scared of anything else.
Yeah. Well, the thing with bird fear is that they're unpredictable. A bird is
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but
they're
they're so
jumpy.
but they're so small. I know
Bigger
yours
ones
is
for me.
larger
Bigger
ones.
ones for me.
But the maximum damage that they can potentially do to you is just not that high.
Well, no, it's the fear of sharp edges as well. Because like I can absolutely understand people being scared of like magpies, for example.
Yes.
Getting
Well,
swooped
yeah.
by a magpie. It's
quite
very
terrifying.
scary. It's very, very scary.
It kicks in your something in your little monkey
kicks
brain.
in the defense of the eyes for me. You don't want to get poked in the eye with a sharp thing. That's a very, very I think
Well,
that's where the fear comes from.
I'll go off on a slight non-football tangent.
Please
I mean,
do.
we're already there.
Please
but,
do.
But the funniest reaction to a bird-phobic person that I've ever seen was an ex-housemate of mine and very dear friend, Callum. I think you might know him.
Shouts out Callum, yes.
Shouts out Callum. One day I was at work. I found an injured crow. It was a fledgling crow, so kind of half baby, half adult, adolescent
Yes.
thing. I watched it all day while I was at work. The parents never come or anything. So I put it in a box and I brought it home with the grand illusion that I was going to be this friend of this crow and
The
have
Florence
have
Nightingale
it on my
sort of
shoulder
figure.
for years to come
Yes.
and, regale people with it at parties and teach it to steal money.
Oh, this is Kevin.
Oh,
he's
him.
he's just a crow.
But so I had it in the box. It's on the living room table, and I've looked up how to take care of it and everything. Callum comes home. He is, and I forgot this. He had told me many times, but I've forgotten. He is deathly afraid of birds. Deathly
Crows
afraid.
are decent size too.
Oh,
Like, yeah.
he's afraid of Willy Wagtails.
Yep. Okay. All right. So
Right.
this is
he
real
walks in.
danger
I
territory.
said, "G'day, Callum. Oh, check out what's in that box." So he's like, "Oh, what is it?" And he's opened the lid of the box, and this crow's just gone, and he has fallen over backwards and into a wall and crumpled on the ground. It's like, "Oh, that's
Like,
right.
yeah, cut
You
to
don't
him.
like birds, do you, mate?"
Cut
Sorry.
to him in a mental hospital, like in a padded cell, going,
what
"Oh
the-
God, the
He's
crow!"
like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "I'm really sorry. I forgot that you're afraid of birds."
That is good gear. That is very, very good gear. But yes, the bush turkey invaded the game.
Yes. And
Was it okay? Did anyone hurt the
Bush turkey was fine.
That's good.
And hats off to the Brisbane Lions social media team.
Oh, of course.
They posted up, obviously jokingly, a heat map of the bush turkey.
Yes.
Very good.
That's
Very-
good content.
very good gear.
And also, good name for a team, the Bush
The
Turkeys.
bush turkey. There's got to be.
There's got to be a team called the Bush Turkeys. What's next on your football news agenda there?
While we're on Brisbane, Brisbane Lion fans have been posting incessantly about Taylor Swift fever.
Yes, she's
has been in town.
You can't escape her.
You
she's
cannot.
queen
You
of the
cannot.
world at the minute.
Whether you like her or not, I don't like
you
her.
know, she's getting the bag queen. She's emitting a lot of carbon.
She
and
has played more times at the MCG this year than the Brisbane Lions will.
That's disheartening.
It is,
That's
isn't it?
very, very disheartening.
You know, they are one of the top teams.
Yeah, and this is now sort of a prevailing thing that I'm seeing a lot in social media. People, interstate teams, complaining about not playing enough games at the MCG.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's flipped now. Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, do you want to travel less or do you want to travel more? You know,
It's difficult.
It's tough.
I think
It's
I think a
tough.
lot of teams are on the lower end of that where they do want to travel more because,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting to finals and you've only played one game at the MCG all year, and the team you're playing's had 10, it is a huge disadvantage.
It is a very big disadvantage.
But that's just a small one.
But the condition that she's left the MCG in after, oh my God.
How dare she?
I saw a photo and I
That's not great.
audibly gasped. I
Yeah.
was like, fuck, my baby. What? Oh,
The season starts in 13 days. Oh
I'm
my
doing
God.
maths in
Oh
my
my
head.
God.
Oh, God, yes.
Well, probably the biggest story of the last week or so, we'll dive right into, is the Joel Smith speculation.
yes.
Well, it's hardly speculation.
Well,
he
it's-
did it.
He's now been accused of drug trafficking.
Yes.
So does trafficking mean just dealing?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's a fancy word for dealing.
So personal use, it's personal use and then trafficking. So,
Yeah, okay.
and that's personal use is quite a liberal amount. Like I think I'm just going to guess this, but it'd be about a gram.
yeah.
So anything more than that. And by the sounds of this story, had a lot more than a gram.
Okay. And apparently
Also, he's returned a positive cocaine test
on game day.
on game day
Yeah.
at some point late last year.
Yeah, so I wonder if he was if he was coked up during the game.
It's possible.
So I don't know much
The
about
old Ben Cousins trick.
I don't know how long coke stays in your system.
Not long.
Not long.
Not long.
So he would have had to have been doing it that day.
he would have had to have
You
been
know,
doing
if it's
it,
a night game, where are you fitting cocaine into your day during
crazy.
a game prep? It's crazy to me. Like. I can, yeah. I mean, I guess it's a stimulant, and I just can't imagine playing footy on coke.
It's wild.
It would be wild.
It's fucking wild. And the big thing is, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of drama and speculation around Clayton Oliver and his bizarre antics of late.
Yes.
So the question does arise: is Clayton involved?
Well, there's always going to be that speculation there. The thing that was presented as sort of damning media evidence about Clayton Oliver being weird was the windshield wiper story. Did you hear this one?
Oh, didn't he rip a windshield
No,
wiper
like
off
it
or
was. I
something?
can't remember what the quote was exactly, but apparently at a training session or something at a park, like somewhere where there's cars in a car park, he was like, I think he was pointing the windshield wipers up on cars or like ripping them off or something. And this was like a secondhand information story. It's like
bizarre.
some an anonymous witness said this about Clayton Oliver. I'm like, if you're going to lie about something, why would you lie about this? It's too specific to not be true.
Well, the weirdest thing about Clayton Oliver and his antics of late has been when preseason was starting up. There's video of it. Someone sneakily on the phone, which also like dog.
Dog act. Don't do that.
He's rocked up to preseason training day, 45 minutes late, and he's been told by the staff to just go home because he's got no shirt on, no shoes. He didn't even bring any boots or anything, and he's got cuts like all over him. And
What?
They're like, what's happened to your hands and your feet? Like, why are you all cut up? And he's like, well, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I
And they're
bet you
like,
he was ready to go.
no, mate, you need to go home. Like, you're 45 minutes late. Where's all your gear? No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh no! So did that actually happen?
Yeah.
Oh, are you sure?
Yes,
Have we not-
I've
okay.
seen the video.
All right.
I've watched it.
Okay. Wow. It's
pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
So, if they can get to his messages or WhatsApp groups or anything, like who else does anyone else get implicated in this? Is almost the bigger story than him going down himself. And I would say that there is several more people to be implicated, because it was only 3 years ago that the president of Melbourne, what was his name? Bartlett. What was his first name?
Have you got him in the document there?
Glenn Bartlett.
Glenn Bartlett. Yes.
Glenn Bartlett.
Yes.
He
was president of the club.
Yeah, was he the president? I
Or
think-
like CEO. Some.
Yeah, he was. He was the president,
Yeah.
and he presented to the board and everything a systematic problem of drug-related incidents and cultural problems, and he got shown the door almost immediately.
So this would have been around the time.
It was 3 years ago.
The premiership.
Yes.
It would have been 2021.
and that was the rhetoric at the time. That like, we've just got a premiership. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
We're fucking fine.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What the fuck?
So now, I mean, 3 years later, it's appearing that he's been completely vindicated.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if anyone else is going to go down, if any other players are going to go down for this. And then there's a broader argument or discussion to be had. Is Melbourne the only club with this?
Oh, God, no.
You'd think that drug use is pretty.
Yes.
And we're speculating, but you'd think young guys are doing drugs. You just assume
100%.
that young guys are doing drugs. You've got
100%.
guys in their 20s with a bunch of money.
I mean, and not all young guys, but when you've got like 40 blokes, you're going to have to assume that, let's say, 20% or 10% of doing
them.
it. And when you've got 1,500 registered AFL players, or however many it is, there's hundreds.
Yep.
There's hundreds of guys.
It's merely a probability argument. It's a statistical
100%.
argument.
100%.
Surely.
100%.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes, and if anyone else goes down.
So yeah, Joel Smith gone. Gone. And also on the topic of downfalls, Taron Thomas, who has had several downfalls,
man.
has had yet another and could be the last. You would hopefully.
Well, he's been sacked. He's been
Yes.
sacked. You'd be stupid if you were a club and offering him anything
So
at
we
this
got
point.
given 18 weeks by the AFL, and then the Roos have shown him the door.
Yep.
So he was.
Why
on,
now? Why not 3 years ago?
So he was on 700 grand.
Jesus.
So before I'm yet to see clarification on this because in his contract, if something of this kind of caliber was to happen, he was still up to be paid 400 of that 700.
Even if you've breached your contract?
Yeah, it depends to what degree. So they may still have to pay him the 400, but perhaps they can seek some kind of deal with the AFL to say, no, we shouldn't have to pay this.
I think they would be inclined to make, because it's a bad look. It's a really, really bad look if your club is still having to pay someone who's alleged to have abused women
and it's
$400,000.
It's and it's not even alleged. Like he's abused. He has abused several women.
I'm just cleansing myself here from potential defamation.
It begs the question, like, why did they do it? Like, there's tens of thousands of kids out there that would kill to be half as good as football.
Yeah,
as Tarrant Thomas, and he's just continually thrown it away. And there's several others like him.
Yeah,
and that's actually a good one. Like, what other players, whether through injury or just being general shit cunts, didn't live up to their full potential?
Yeah, well, one that comes to mind for me, and this is through injury or whatever, but this is more of, if he wanted to, he could have been one of the best players of all time.
Jake Stringer.
No, I'm going to go one better. Brendan Favola.
Oh, yes.
If Favola wanted to be an elite footballer, he could have been Buddy Franklin level. Yep. And for the season where Buddy Franklin kicked 100, people forget Fev got 99. Fev got 99.
And Alistair Clarkson made sure that Fev didn't get 100.
One of the biggest dog acts to ever happen is Clarko flooding the back line in that game.
If people aren't aware of it, it was Fev's opportunity to get the 99, get the 100
in the same game as Buddy Franklin kicked the 100.
And Clarkson ordered Fev to be not just locked down, like it was like put him in a man cage. Like, do not let him fucking get a goal.
It was ridiculous.
Insane.
And the presentation of that game was so fun as well. They had Fev watch. They had I think he needed 9 goals or something.
Yep.
And he's on 8. Like he's kicked 8.
Fev's a good shout. I would not have thought of that.
As a genuine full forward, he was, along with Buddy, the last true amazing output level of goals forward.
Well, I've heard stories of Fev even today. I mean, he's on Nova Radio in Melbourne now, but he goes out and plays. Obviously gets a bit of coin for it, but he'll play one-off games for country teams to get people through the door, and that makes everybody
wins.
Yeah. A lot of old retired AFL players do this. He goes out and apparently he's fucking still got it.
Oh, dude, you don't lose that. No matter how much weight you gain or how many beers you drink,
still got it.
You will still sit Fev in the goal square and he'll kick 12.
I mentioned Jake Stringer, and I think he's an interesting one because obviously, he's still quite good.
Yes,
at times you would say, but I mean, he's the package, as BT said, and he really was and is, but continues to be up and down. Well, how good do you think Jake Stringer could have been if he had the dedication of your Scott Pendlebury or something?
He could be, because I think they are similar players, like a De Goey, Dustin Martin type. Yep. So they're all same sort of height and weight, like 6'1"-ish. Yep. 85, 89 kilos.
Able to turn on the foot.
Turn on the foot. Very good short distance sprints. Strong in the tackle. I think he could have been like a De Goey sort of type, or maybe a Dane Swan.
I dug up this story about Jake Stringer. I was not aware of it. I don't know if you know this. He was passed on by the Cats because he failed the character test.
Wow. What's in the character test? What do we think?
Well, first of all, he was scheduled to meet with Chris Scott and the Cats team. He was late.
Oh, not good.
So immediately they were like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Why
and
the
honestly,
fuck are you late?
Fair call to judge him for being late. If you're that's, I'm a sucker for being punctual. Not today. I was late today, but still, on a big event like that, if you have a meeting, if you have a meeting with someone and it's an important meeting,
the most important meeting of your fucking life,
and you're fucking late for it, not good.
Not good.
Not good.
And I mean, they were right. He's continued.
Yeah, Stringer can turn it on, but it's just he can't stay on the park and he can't do it consistently.
Yeah.
That's
So
the thing.
What about some dirtbags? We've got Liam Jarrah.
Yeah, well, Jarrah attacked someone with a machete, didn't
Yes,
he?
yeah.
That's all time.
Among other
cooked
things.
Yeah,
He's got quite the rap sheet, old Liam Jarrah. It's unbelievable.
didn't Ashley Sampy do some bad stuff at some point? Or was he?
Ashley Sampy was. I mean, he's a good candidate.
He's a good candidate for this
but
because
he didn't do anything bad.
He was never
just
in
got
like
fat.
the best physical nick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing player.
I mean, he went at pick 6.
Yeah.
Like
And
he was very good.
his mark, I would put top 5 all time.
Oh,
It is
easily. Easily.
perhaps top 3.
When I was at school, it was a stupid boys, inverted comma boys game that we used to play. It was called Sampying someone.
Yeah.
People would just be walking along with their books and stuff. You'd run up and go, Sampy! And
Yep.
jump on their shoulders and they'd drop all their shit everywhere.
Always
Classic.
funny. So funny.
Everyone laughs.
Everyone would laugh
great.
every time. But I think Ashley Sampy, and I don't know if this was actually him or not, there was a Twitter account under the name Ashley Sampy, and I'm pretty sure this was him. And all it did was post about Emu Bitter. Like, it was just him like having a great time. It's like drinking Emu Bitters today. Oh, hashtag Emu Bitter.
I've got some others. I've got some others that are for injury under the injury cloud. Morabito.
Yeah, I always forget he existed.
Yeah. He got
very
fucked up.
unfortunate.
He got real fucked up. Harley Bennell, had
Yeah.
several cracks, but it was the calf, weirdly.
Yep.
He just could never get the
Paddy
calf.
McCartan.
Yes.
I'm glad that he got one last crack at it with the Swans, but then
The
immediately
McCartan's,
had to
that's
retire.
huge. That's
McCartan
huge.
was a big one.
Pour one out for the wasted talent out there.
Yeah, just if you've, and this goes to everyone who's done their knee and could have played AFL, which I'm guessing is a lot
that's
of you.
me.
That's
My
me.
shoulder's
Literally me.
fucked.
Literally me.
I could've-
We're thinking of you too.
I could have done it easily.
I
Easily.
think if I applied myself, I could have easily played Waffle reserves.
Yeah.
For sure.
I reckon.
For sure. But I wouldn't be the best player on the Waffle reserves team. I'd be a good role player.
I'd be the one that they say, fuck, he's good at running. Can't do much else.
Yeah. I mean, he's got good talk, that Ben. He's got good communication out there, but can't kick for shit.
Now there's been quite a sad story this week as well. The goal umpire Luke Davies.
Oh, this is
And his partner Jesse Baird was also a man. They were a gay couple, and
Yeah.
I think Jesse Baird was a Channel 10
he
presenter.
was a presenter on Studio 10.
Yeah,
I think
they
he was like an
went missing.
entertainment reporter.
They went missing. They were gone missing for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden, a police officer got arrested and charged with their murder.
Yes.
And it turns out the police officer is the ex-partner of Luke Davies, the goal umpire.
Man.
And has yet to say where the bodies are.
Yep. So
they know that he's done it, but they don't know where the bodies are, which is a weird set of
He
circumstances.
called in sick to work and like rented a van, I believe, to dispose of the bodies.
Fucking weird.
They don't know where the bodies are. They found like blood in the house or something.
He's
and
a strange-looking cat.
It's a strange case. It's
Yeah.
a strange case.
He's a weird
And
looking guy.
Because we're also obsessed with crime through, crime documentaries on Netflix.
And the podcasts
And the
and whatnot.
podcasts and everything. Whenever something like this happens...
This will be a limited run TV series for sure.
We all get so into it in this like morbid way. It's like Mushroom Lady. It's like, people have died and it's a horrible tragedy.
Mushroom Lady was one of my favourite ones in years.
But yeah, like we're
incredible.
talking about it like it's sport. We're talking about it like it's,
Fuck
you know.
yeah.
It's,
I mean, this is 2024. This is what we do.
Yeah, this is what we do. This
We're
is what we do now.
desensitized to absolutely everything. Oh, a gruesome murder. Great.
Great.
Tell me
and
about
also update on Mushroom Lady. She has been charged with
Yes.
homicide,
Yes.
shock and
it.
horror.
Times three. I
Yeah,
believe.
times three.
Yeah. And several more attempted murders.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Great.
It couldn't happen to a nicer lady.
Yeah, I kind of thought she was innocent.
She fooled you, did she? She fooled you?
The most guiltiest sin criminal of all time.
Didn't you say you had more gear on the this recent one though?
The cop.
Yes.
Before he was a police officer, the job that he used to do is insane.
What was it?
He was obsessed with celebrities. So he had a TikTok and Instagram, and he would
Okay.
just be at like our good friend Monty.
Yep.
But much creepier.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
much more, let me film you.
Maybe so he was like a wannabe paparazzi sort of dude?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And that's what he did. He went around, and there's videos and pictures of him with various celebrities and stuff. And that's, I guess, what he was trying to do was to be more of a, like what Luke Davies' partner,
Yeah,
like an entertainment
an entertainment reporter,
That's
but
what he
in
was
a
trying to-
creepy way.
That's what he was trying to stylize himself as, but just as one guy. And
Yeah,
you
okay.
really need like a
a
network or
team. Yeah,
something
you need to
behind
have
you.
you need to have legitimacy.
Very bizarre. So
That is a weird one.
So perhaps that leads into why, like, not only is he jealous of this guy for being with his ex-partner, but he's
Yeah.
jealous of his actual job as well. He's like, this guy
it's
is
just eating him
exactly what I
alive.
want to be on every level. So I'm just going to fucking murder both of you.
And also, it was done with his police handgun as well.
Very stupid.
So there's another angle here.
Very
Like, why did he
stupid.
have his gun? Because the first thing that it said in most of the press releases about this was he was an off-duty police officer at
Yeah.
the time. He was off-duty. If he was off-duty at the time, why does he have his gun?
Yeah.
Do they carry it all the time? I don't think they would. You'd think
No.
it would have to be at the
And
station.
also, if you discharge a round, eventually you have to explain where that round's gone.
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
If you go in to say, "Oh, I need some more rounds for my thing," like, well, what happened to them ones?
Yeah,
It's like,
what'd you
well,
do?
I fired them at the range. Well, it says here you fired 4. Where's the 5th one?
Well, we should be taking account of the bullets. We don't want to end up like the fucking Americans where they're just shooting each other willy-nilly in the streets.
Now, Ben, we'll move on. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I do have a run on that I want to stay on.
Oh, absolutely, mate.
Tassie team dead.
No.
Dead.
They killed him.
It's not happening.
Oh, they killed him. Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
did you?
What a
Sorry.
case.
I'm sorry. I can see how you would think.
23 footballers
I can see-
found dead in non-existent stadiums.
I am so sorry. I can see how you would think, looking back at how I said that, I can see how you would think a whole team of men has died.
Pray tell, Corey, what's happened to the Tasmanian team?
The proposed Tasmanian AFL football team is dead.
Now, tell me why.
Well, it's been somewhat in limbo for the past couple of weeks because for the past quite a while, a few months, because the Liberal government
Yes.
has the
Only
the
state Liberal government in the country.
Yes, the state Liberal government is trying to backpedal because it is unpopular with a loud minority of citizens about the funding. So the AFL has been steadfast about one thing about this whole deal. You can have the team. We need this new stadium, and it has to be here, and it has to have a roof,
And
it has to have
honestly,
23,000 people.
I think that's poor form from the AFL. I think that is poor form from the AFL to hold them to
it's-
ransom like
whether
that.
it's poor form or not, they agreed to that deal
Okay.
and that stipulation.
Sure.
They agreed
Sure.
to it. They said yes. And it's going to cost $715 million. The AFL's chipped in over half that.
Okay.
And the federal government's chipped in some as well. So the state government was set to pay $315 million of that.
Okay.
Now they're saying, we don't want to pay it.
Oh.
And there's an election coming up, and the Labor state government is saying, we don't want the fucking stadium at all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So on either side of the spectrum, the stadium's fucked. And
Yeah.
the AFL is saying, if you don't build this stadium, there will not be a team.
where does my girl Jackie Lambie sit on the stadium?
Don't want it.
Oh, that's so Jackie. That's so
She's
Jackie.
been getting up at rallies about it and saying, fucking...
I've had a gutful of these
Yeah.
politicians and their stadiums.
Oh, that's my Jackie Lambie impression.
And the biggest... And this really fucking gets to me about people in the wider sense as well. And you can see this in comment sections about almost anything.
Yes.
The argument of people in Tasmania is that fucking however much this 550 million that's
Yes.
being chipped in by the government, that could be spent on schools and hospitals and stuff. So, mate, if you don't build the stadium, that money's going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not like you can take the money and spend it on schools and hospitals. You can have it if you're building a stadium. That's it.
Yes.
Like it's not reallocatable funds. You can't just divert it to build a school or a hospital.
Yeah, it's very, and you're right. That does come up with every
And
single
that's
allocation
their
of funding
main
argument ever.
Like we need, and Tasmania has a lot of problems right now, especially homelessness
Housing.
and
Yeah,
housing.
yeah.
It's very bad. It's very dire, and they're right to be angry about that. But if they say no to this stadium,
There's no money at all.
They're not going to get any more money.
There's nothing there at all. Like,
No.
yeah, I can see. It's so easy to rile up anger about it for that exact
And
argument.
it is stupid, and we'll leave it there for now because I'm sure there's going to be more news about that. But on the topic of stadiums, I'll segue this into stadium promotions. Now, last season, I'm not sure if we talked about this on the pod or not, but I was very pissed off about the Whopper goal.
For anyone who is blessed to live outside of Perth, the Whopper goal is what the Eagles have as a promotion.
Dockers have it too?
Oh, do the Dockers have it too?
But
Sorry.
this is what I'm going to get into. It's different.
It's when a player on Eagles or Dockers kicks a goal from outside 50.
Yes.
It's not just a goal.
It's a Whopper goal.
It's a Whopper goal, and everyone in the crowd gets a free Whopper from Hungry Jack's. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
So when we were younger, the concept of the Whopper goal was a lot more liberal. Let's say at times, if the Eagles won, guess what? You got a Whopper.
You got a Whopper.
And all of a sudden now, they got to kick from outside 50. Oh, it's got to be this certain player. He's got to kick one.
Oh,
And
no,
so
they haven't done that,
so
have they?
Come on, man. Like, give us our fucking Whopper.
Yeah.
Right. So I went to a lot of Dockers games last year because a good friend of mine, Leilani, doesn't listen to the pod. She won't hear this.
You shouted her out anyway. Yep.
What they do at the Dockers games is even more egregious.
Yeah, go on.
There'll be a random period of the game. They're like, oh, it's the Whopper zone. If they get
the Whopper zone.
If they get a goal now in the next, then that's a Whopper goal.
Oh, man.
Oh, come on.
That's too much.
Come on.
That is
Come
too
on.
much.
At this point,
Is it called the Whopper Zone?
No, I don't think it's called the Whopper Zone. I don't think it's called the Whopper Zone. But it's getting harder and harder to get yourself a free Whopper.
Yeah.
And also, you can only get it on the Wednesday following the game. If you go in
You can't go straight up.
if you go in on the Thursday and say,
What's the point? You want it on the way home.
Can I
That's
have my
when it's
Whopper?
fresh in your mind.
Can I have my Whopper, please? Because I saw Nat Fife kick one on the
In the
weekend.
17th minute
and
of
it
the
was a
second
Whopper
quarter.
goal. It was
Yeah.
inside the Whopper zone. I saw it.
Yeah.
I'm eligible. They're going to say, mate, sorry, that was yesterday.
Oh.
And I've caused a scene. I said, no, I was there. It said it.
Yep.
I'm like, no, mate.
No, we can't help you. So if you were going to do your ideal stadium promotion,
And this is exactly what I was going to ask you. And I thought about it.
What's it going to be?
Well, this is not an idea of mine, actually. I found this on Reddit. The Nick Larkey free souvlakis.
Oh, love that.
So
love a souvlaki.
if Nick Larkey kicks 10 goals, everybody gets a souvlaki.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
But
a good one.
10 goals is almost too unattainable. So
Yeah,
I would
maybe-
say, I reckon you've got to go with, disposals. You pick the shittest
like
player
that.
on the team,
Yeah.
and if they get 10 touches,
Yeah.
so if Billy Frampton gets 10 touches, everyone gets a free beer.
You could, I mean, you could go with the stereotypes. If it's Melbourne, if something happens, everyone gets some cheese.
Some cheese board,
Yeah.
love a cheese
I
board.
love that.
If the West Coast Eagles, if the West Coast Eagles accumulate, if they kick over 100 points, everyone gets free meth.
Oh, I love that.
But that would be
I love that.
2005. I'm trying to think of other stereotypes now, and they're all escaping me.
Look, the greatest stadium promotion I've ever heard of, and perhaps we can do at a later date. We can do a lot more on this, but 10-cent beer night was a thing that happened in I believe it was the late 70s at a baseball ground.
10 cents for a fucking beer.
And it is as crazy as your mind is thinking. So if I was to say to you, hey, Ben, we're going to this place tonight, beers are 10 cents. How many beers do you think we would drink if they were 10 cents?
Don't even. Oh, God.
So times that by 55,000 people. It's crazy. People, they stormed the fields. They stole all the base. The game got abandoned.
That's so good. That is
insane.
so. Well, I know this is a very big tangent here, but fuck me, inflation's out of control.
It is.
It's out. We're being price gouged everywhere. And I went to the IGA up the road just before
Did you
coming
watch the
here.
Four Corners report the other day?
Not yet, but I know what
very,
happened in it.
very
I know the outcome of the CEO of
Very
Woolies getting
good.
sacked.
Very
Very
funny.
funny that he's a white South African. Hilarious.
It's the first word he said in that interview. I was like, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this guy.
Dude, the Coles CEO lady's even weirder.
She's worse.
She's like ice cold.
Mate,
Absolutely ice cold.
She had some bizarre logic, man.
Yeah, but just the death stare that she was giving the interviewer, you're looking at her going, oh, you have no soul.
You
are absolutely evil.
Either very evil or B, a robot.
Yes, or both.
Or both.
But anyway, I was at the IGA up the road, and even though they're not Coles and Woolies, they are price gouged.
Yes.
Guess how much a container of Eclipse mints was? Just take a guess. Take a guess.
$3.
$4.13.
No, that's too
for
much.
a tin of Eclipse mints.
See, $3. $3 for me is high.
$3 is highway robbery.
That's a lot.
$4.13. Are you
13.
What's the 13
What are we
cents
doing?
for? What are we doing
What
here?
are we
What are we
doing?
doing? Honestly, how much would it cost to produce a fucking tin of Eclipse
10
mints?
cents.
10 cents.
10 cents.
10 cents. They fucking do it up. It's all 3D printed. It'd be factory line. You
3D
spit them out.
printed.
You spit them out of a machine like a fucking. You've got millions, billions of these mints sitting in the fucking thing. You're probably throwing them away, and you're charging me $4.13 for a tin of mints. IGA. It's not on. It's not on, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Now, Ben.
Also, the beers were very expensive last night at Optus.
Oh, yeah. Well,
They're
I
not
imagine
good.
they were. Were they
Not
full
good.
strength?
No, of course not.
So even though it's
Of course
not a footy game.
3.5%.
Okay.
3.5%.
Well, I've got a couple.
Oh, hello.
Pies
Oh, it's the
stories.
pies. Yes.
We are a pies adjacent podcast.
We are.
Just doubling back to where we started with the match sims, your man Johnny Noble took a fucking hanger.
He did take a big old
Took a
hanger.
fucking
I
hanger.
saw this,
But
Mark.
That's not the news. We've picked up Will Parker. Or Porter. Parker or
yeah,
Porter?
The cricketer guy.
My
The cricket
handwriting's
man.
very bad.
Yes.
Category B rookie. Now, he was highly slated in the 2020 draft. He's 21 years old now to
Yes.
be picked up. And whether he wasn't picked up or decided to go to cricket, I'm not quite sure. But he has played several games for Victoria in Shield, first class cricket.
Very cool.
So now he's a pie.
Yeah, that's bloody
Love
great.
that. So
And
he's going the opposite route of Alex Carey, who went footy to then cricket.
Yes.
Which is fantastic for him.
Another guy we picked up that I'm very happy about, Jack Bytel. Used to
Love
play for
that.
St Kilda. Never really got that much of a run at it, but
Oh, there's-
good depth pick. I like Jack
There is
Bytel.
the guy that we picked up in the draft apparently Slades.
To Giath?
Giath, yeah.
So he's Chankuth Giath's brother
Love
from
that.
the
Love
Hawks.
that.
Yeah, he's looking very good.
Also,
very, very good.
second piece of Pies news. Pies president Jeff Brown has incurable cancer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
which is
I didn't know that. That's
not
sad.
great. Yeah, not great at all.
Oh,
So
prayers up, Jeff.
prayers up to Jeff, and expect a lot of cancer fundraising type gear around the Collingwood Magpies this year.
He's been doing a pretty ripper job so far, you'd have to think.
Yeah,
No,
and, and it's with that whole thing of Eddie going out and someone coming in. It's hard to gain allegiance from such a storied figure, I suppose. And he's done well.
Well, you know who else is on the Collingwood board? Paul Licuria.
Weird.
Ex-player. Yeah, of all the ex-players. Yeah, Paul Licuria, very good player back in the 2000s. A great player. But yeah, Paul Licuria, he's still kicking around for the club. Good on him. What else have you got there in the footy gear?
I mean, that's it for the footy news of the week.
So
really.
I've got one we can tangent into, and
Okay.
it's sort of without notice.
Okay.
Because these always are good for a bit of content farming here. You do. Let's name our top 5 key defenders of all time. Because it's
Of all time?
of all time.
Okay.
Of all time. So like we're talking the big boys.
Well, I would steer,
in no particular order, just go
I would
like
steer
5.
to more recent at times, only because of how old I am.
Yes.
You're more of a historian, a football historian than I am.
I thank you, but I would also give more weight to the recency guys because I do
different
think
game.
The players are better now.
Yes.
The game is always getting better. So your average fullback in 2024 is going to be significantly, I think, better.
There are
than
names.
the
there
guys
are names
from the 80s.
that immediately jump out. Like
Yes.
your Glenn Archers.
Oh well, Glenn Archer wasn't really a key defender.
Was he not?
I'll allow it, but he wouldn't be there for me.
Okay.
he wouldn't
what
be there for me.
I would say Jeremy McGovern.
Yeah, I don't have him in my 5, but I
would
can
say-
see it.
I would say-
for the intercept marking influence that he had?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
I like players that end up being emulated for a style that they play.
Yep.
And he is certainly one that now, if you don't have a player like him, you want one.
You know what?
and
It's not a bad shout.
And
Because
our captain
Yes.
is exactly that.
Darcy Moore is absolutely that.
And I would probably put him in as well.
I would say of all time, I don't think Darcy's
Not
there
yet.
yet.
Not yet.
I do understand the shout for Jeremy, honestly,
Yes.
for the
Yeah.
influence that he has had.
And
He was
if
very
I'm-
ahead of his time.
If I'm not mistaken, there was a several year run where he was getting All Australian every year.
it was
like
it was a
five
good
years.
it was a good 3 to 5 times he was in there. And he
Also,
was,
one of the funniest nicknames of any player.
what's his nickname again?
Well, his number is 11,
Yes.
and he's known for perhaps having a bit too much weight on at times. So his teammates call him Brackets.
That's good.
very
I didn't know that.
very good.
That's a very funny
That's very
nickname.
good. It's
I'll tell
very
you
good.
who I've got there, and these are two that I think are non-negotiable for me. A bit more historic, but
Yeah.
not too far in the past. Stephen Silvani for Carlton.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Widely known as the best key defender
Yeah.
of his time, the best fullback of
Yeah,
his time.
he's on their team as a
Back when
century.
fullbacks were just sitting back in the goal square and really not moving around the field a lot, locking down the back 50, Stephen Silvani was the best one-on-one defender of his time by a country mile. And another one I've got to have in there, because I can't not, Glenn Jakovic.
You know,
Glenn Jakovic
as you were talking before, I was thinking, yeah, Glenn Jakovic.
Because-
And I was trying to think of exactly what his position was.
Well, he was centre half back, and
Yeah.
key defender is
Yeah.
key defender is essentially
He
a
was
tall
a
defender.
gun.
Well, he played on and beat often
Yeah.
the best centre half forward to ever play the game in Wayne Carey.
Wayne
So
Carey.
that alone puts him in there for me.
There's great recording and vision of Wayne Carey being asked about like who's the toughest player, and he quite regularly will say Glenn Jakovic.
Yeah, Glenn Jakovic.
Yeah.
I actually got to ask Matty Pavlich one time who was the best key defenders he ever played on. He said Ben Rutten.
Oh,
And Darren Glass. He
Darren
said those
Glass.
two. I haven't got those two in there, but
Interesting.
that's Pav's thoughts anyway.
I've got one that I would probably put. I know you said unordered, but
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
probably say number one.
Yeah, go on.
Zach Dawson.
Oh, the Zach attack. The Zach attack. That's my gear. I'm so pro Zach Dawson.
When there's no one around, there's 30 metres until the next player on the ball comes near you. Double fist it out.
you need to double fist it out of
Double
bounds.
fist that ball
When
out of
you need
bounds.
someone elbowed in the head, Zach's your guy. Zach is your guy. When you need some cheating to be done, Zach is your guy. I would. You know who else? You know who I would also put in there, and this is perhaps hashtag hot take territory. I'm gonna have to put in Alex Rance for
Now,
his
I was afraid you were going to
for
say
his
this.
period. Yes, his peak was lesser time than his entire career, but I would say a good 4 years.
Yeah.
He was the best. He was the best fullback in the game. He had that fullback spot in the All Australian team.
I was afraid
absolutely locked in.
When you posited this question to me, I was afraid that you were going to say Alex Rance.
I think I've got to chuck Rance
because
here.
I do not like Alex Rance.
Yeah, look, a lot of people don't, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. Is it because he's too handsome?
No, it's because I went to school with him and he was a dickhead.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I forget that. No, it's actually very reasonable.
Was he a good footy player? Oh, fuck
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, fuck it.
He was
Absolutely.
Great.
So I've got 3. I need 2 more, and I am off the dome here, trying to think of some people. You know what? I really like the shout of Gov, but I don't think I can do it for him.
Yeah. Can you put a Pies player in there?
I'm trying to think of who the best, Pies guys. We've never. Darcy Moore's been probably the best centre half back we've had in my
in a long
lifetime.
time, yeah.
I don't think I can chuck him in there though. I don't think I can. You know what? I'm going to throw in another really solid performer from the 70s and the 80s. Bruce Doull. Brucey Doull.
The Doull.
The flying doormat, Bruce Doull himself.
Yeah,
Just
love it.
when you think of, key defenders from that time,
Yeah.
it's Brucey.
It's
Brucey. It has to be.
I was watching the front bar the other night and they had Luke Longley on, the basketballer that obviously played for the Chicago Bulls in their second three-peat with Michael Jordan. And they were asking me about what it was like to be so famous.
Yes.
Because they were the biggest thing on earth.
Yes.
And he was saying that when he went to hotels and stuff, you would have to use a different name. You couldn't use your name, and he used Bruce Dool.
That's
as
so
his
good.
name.
That's
Yeah.
so good. I want to do that.
And so he's told that story many times to the point where Bruce Dool like heard about it. So he was saying on the show that he wanted to call Bruce Dool up to explain like, oh, I'm sorry, but he wanted to just say like explain why he was using his name.
Yes.
So he called him up and he was like, yeah, no, I get it. Thanks. just hung up because he's just such a battle axe.
He is a
Just
battle
wouldn't
axe
even
of a
talk to him.
bloke. Just you're gonna get no funny business from Bruce. You're not gonna get any bells and whistles out of a conversation
Now, what do you
with
reckon,
Bruce
Ben?
Dool.
Should we move on to the other sports?
I had one more spot and I know
Yes?
who it is. Matthew Scarlett.
Oh, that's
Matthew
good.
Scarlett's
Yeah,
in the
Scarlett's
five.
huge.
That would be
Scarlett's
for me.
huge.
So there's my five.
I like Dool. I like Scarlett.
Yeah. So Bruce Dool in no particular order. Glenn Jakovich, Bruce Dool, Stephen Silvani, fucking Alex Rance, and
Yes.
Matty Scarlett.
I like
Those
that.
are my five.
I like
there
that.
we
for you.
go.
Let's move on to other sport. So,
You've just spilled a beer.
yes, I have.
That's through the
That was
magic. Through the magic of editing, you missed a good 2 minutes of Corey freaking the fuck out about it.
I didn't know that was going to be half frozen. So that was a good time.
So you had an export slushy.
I just can't believe how well I've done there to navigate through the middle of all of the electrical equipment.
I saw it happen in slow motion, and I
and
went,
not-
"This mix is fucked."
Not
yeah.
get anything on anything. That's unbelievable. But
Other sporting
we
news.
are moving on to other sports. So pro bowling, Ben. You know I've been a big fan for a long time.
Oh, you love the bowling. You love the
I
bowling.
love bowling.
Who
and
are
that's-
some of your favourite bowlers?
Well, there's that. There's the guy that does the. Don't you know who I am?
Don't you know who think you are? I am. Yeah.
You know who you are. I am. I genuinely do love that guy.
Do you know the backstory behind that bit? It's because
Yes.
some kid was sledging
It
him
was
in the
sledging him
audience,
the
and it was
entire
like
time.
a 12-year-old
Yeah.
kid, and it's him rinsing this kid after he gets a strike, like, "Yeah, fuck you."
I'm pretty sure the quote is, "You know who you are. I am."
No, I think it's "Who do you think you are? I am." That's what he said. It's either way, it makes no sense.
right.
It makes no sense. But he's saying it with such conviction that you're like, "Fuck yeah, dude, yes, you go, sir,
I
you
love
go."
that guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's
We
him.
love the bowling.
There's
We
him
love the bowling.
And my top, rounding out my top three, probably not this guy. So there's a man. The US Open was on recently. The US Open of pro bowling, that is.
Yes.
And there was a bowler arrested mid competition.
No.
So they've come in, and if you are a pro bowler out there
Yeah.
listening, there might be one or two with the scope of audience that we have. I don't know about you, Ben, but when I look at pro bowlers on the whole, a lot of them look like they're a bit sus.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's because it's not a cool sport.
No.
I love bowling. Don't get me wrong.
it's
you know,
your weird accountant vibes that you usually get from
I
these
would say
fellas.
they all look like World of Warcraft players.
Yes. Yeah, that's
You know what? They probably all do play World of Warcraft.
Well, this fella, Brandon Novak, he not Brandon Novak
From
from
Jackass,
fame.
not that
No,
guy.
Not that guy. He was arrested mid-game at the US Open, and he is facing charges for child sex abuse.
Well, there you go. Definite World of
And,
Warcraft vibes there. I'm
have-
looking
have
at
a
his
look at
mugshot
him.
right now.
he
You
looks-
can't tell me that bloke doesn't go off in Azeroth. He's got a level 80 paladin or 85 or whatever the level cap is now.
Oh, so he's 35 from Indianapolis. The competition was in
He
Indianapolis.
looks
rather.
57.
Yes, he does. He was taken into custody on the 1st of February while the...
So mid-tournament, the cops have come out.
have rolled
that
in.
rules.
It rules so much.
Absolutely rules.
If I was a spectator there, like, fuck, I can't wait for this to finish. And the cops roll in
Yeah.
and arrest this
Oh.
guy. I'd be like, this is sick.
This is the best bowling tournament ever.
I'm getting my phone out
Yeah.
and sending it to the boys. Like, you're not going to believe
you
what
can't
happened.
believe what's just fucking happened.
And
Boys,
so-
I'm at the bowling.
Now, this raises a question for me because even after his arrest, he had a high enough score to finish 36th.
Oh,
so he
shit.
could have gone higher had he kept playing.
He must have been on a real heater.
He was on a heater
Yeah.
of sorts. So he's come 36 and he won 1,500 in prize money.
They still have to give him the money.
So do they give that to him?
I think you have to.
I think they
you
are.
have to give it to him. You know,
Look.
he came. He scored the
Oh,
points.
he came all right. It was just with not the right aged person. right.
Abuse is bad. We
Right, so
don't
we'll move-
condone pro bowlers abusing children
We'll move
at
on.
all. Moving on.
Now, Ben-
That's a good one, mate. That's a very good
You
news
know
story.
that I am somewhat obsessed for whatever reason with the high salaries of US sportsmen.
Yes.
So Shohei Ohtani's recent record-breaking
Too high.
one of
Too
what
high.
was it, 700-800 million?
Yes.
LeBron's looking for a new contract for next year. He's looking for a Billy.
You know what? Not high enough. LeBron is worth 1.5, maybe 1.7 billion to me a
So there's-
season.
there's-
It's LeBron James.
There's thoughts that the Lakers' entire budget for the entire team is not enough for just LeBron.
Yeah,
So
so-
it looks like he's going elsewhere.
So I've heard rumblings about the New York Knicks. I've heard rumblings about perhaps going to the Heat again, or
Oh.
maybe Philadelphia.
Okay.
This seems to be like teams that might be good fits for him from an organisation
And
perspective.
the thing
or
is-
maybe he goes back to Cleveland.
Could do that.
He could do that too.
And the thing is, like, whoever pays the money will get that return on investment. That's the thing.
It's
We're seeing it.
LeBron James.
Well,
if
they've
any
got
athlete in the world
Yeah.
is worth $1 billion now, it is that man.
Well, they've got case studies about it. They call it Lebronomics. Lebronomics.
Yep.
Because every city that he goes to, the economic boost that he gives that city is worth 10 times what the team is paying him.
Very similar, to the Ben Cousins effect when he went to Richmond.
Yes.
The economy
Yeah,
boomed. It absolutely boomed.
The black market economy.
Oh, it was
Not
it was
the-
a thriving
not the city of
It was a
Melbourne.
thriving industry. They had to make a season of Underbelly about it. It was huge.
A season about Ben Cousins was actually
I would
really
watch
good.
the fuck out of that.
How
I
have
would
they
watch the
not
fuck out of
made
that.
a syndicated show about that?
Well, he's on Dancing with the Stars, so
That's
it's
true.
the same thing,
It's-
really.
It's the
same
logical
thing.
next step, I think.
It's a jungle out there. Dun, dun, dun,
Now, Ben,
dun, dun.
While we're on basketball, I'll ask you a very simple question.
Yes.
Is Kevin Durant a bitch?
What is a bitch these days? It's he's a 7'1", one of the best shooters in basketball history.
We've got some astonishing vision here of Kevin Durant.
I don't think I've seen this.
running onto the court to practice.
Okay, yep,
before
all
a
right.
game, and two Dallas Mavericks fans have got courtside seats.
Okay.
And as he's running past them, the lady, it's a man and a lady.
Yep.
The lady yells out, "Bitch!"
Oh.
I'll let you see this vision.
Okay,
I'm not sure
yep,
if
yep.
the audio is going to come through.
We've
Oh,
got
it's
no
not.
audio.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Could be
yeah,
this.
see if
Hang
you
on,
can bring
hang
the
on.
fader up.
I'll
See if you can bring the fader up. Here we go.
So that was
she says bitch.
So Kevin Durant immediately turns around and murks these two. And they're both like, "Oh, so good. Oh, come on, give us a
She's
five."
backing down.
Yeah. Look at these degenerates.
Yeah,
So Kevin Durant's in their face.
these are classless people.
very classless.
These are classless
Now listen
people.
to this, Ben. Listen to what this man says. It's quite hard to hear, but
I host a
did you
podcast about
catch that?
sports. He's plugging his podcast.
Now, and
Dude,
you'll
that's
notice.
pathetic from them.
You'll notice
Oh.
that is the exact moment that Kevin Durant goes, "Okay, I'm out of here."
I'm fucking out of here.
So
Fuck this guy.
listen to that moment again. Kevin
I host a
Durant,
podcast about. He's
catch
blanked
out.
him there.
Catch out.
No, KD
Catch out.
did nothing wrong
Catch
there.
out. So
KD did absolutely
Is
nothing
Kevin
wrong.
Durant a bitch? No. No, those two people, that is,
Well,
like
that's
you said, classless behavior.
Classless act because she fumbled immediately and went, "Oh my god, please shake my hand. You're Kevin Durant."
He turned around and he's like 8'9".
Yes, he's huge.
He
He's a
turned
huge
around
man.
and she's going,
Well, like, I'm not a sledger when I'm at sports. You are a sledger.
I'm a big
you are
sledger.
a big
I'm
sledger.
a big sledger.
I like not to do it. I'm a rainbows and smiles kind of guy. I wish we could all get along like we used to in middle school.
I'm a sledger, but I like to think it's at least somewhat lighthearted.
Yeah, you're tongue in cheek. You're very tongue in cheek.
Very
you know?
tongue in cheek. I'm never going to be like doing personal insults or something. It's more like, "Oh, you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
You can't even catch it. What are you doing?"
It's whereas I'm so conflict averse that I can't even
Yes.
imagine doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm often apologising for you to the people around us as you're
I've
sledging.
been at football games with you, and we're on like the third tier
And you'll still sledge.
And I'm sledging them. There's 60,000 people there.
They can't hear you.
Not a chance
Yeah.
in hell. And you're still, sorry. I'm like, who are you apologising to? They
Yeah.
can't hear me.
Yeah.
It's all right.
No,
Don't worry about
I'm
it.
apologising to the people around us, to the people that we have to sit next to, because I've got to be a diplomat. I have to be a diplomat. But this woman in that moment is the absolute bitchiest thing you can do. She's a bitch in this moment.
Yes.
Very cowardly by not sticking to her guns and committing to the sledge. Because if you call Kevin Durant a bitch and then he turns around and you're having an interaction,
And you can't back it up.
you can't back down from that point.
Yeah.
You have to stick to your guns and say,
well,
yeah,
you are a bitch.
What of it?
You're a
Because now
bitch.
this is the biggest moment of your life.
Yes.
You're in a confrontation with Kevin Durant that's on camera.
You got to ride the lightning.
You got to ride the lightning. You got to fucking be like, what? Even if you're
You heard what I said.
Even if you're 5'3" and overweight like this woman, just stand your ground. If Kevin Durant punches you, that's a payout. That's a huge payout you can get.
I love it so much that this interaction goes for about 30, 45 seconds.
Incredibly cringe.
And then the whole thing's cringe. And then the moment that old mate says, I host a sports podcast.
Incredibly.
Kevin Durant's just like,
Just
what am I doing? Talking to
I
these
hate
people?
to use the term beta and alpha males, but that is beta male behaviour
And,
from that
it's-
man.
Maybe I find it funnier because we do indeed have a sports podcast.
Yeah, but ours is better than his, for sure.
And we would never act like that.
No.
And it just
No, we
makes
absolutely wouldn't.
makes it even funnier. But we'll move away from basketball
Yes.
into the world of golf.
Oh, yes.
Now, Charlie Woods, the much storied son of perhaps the best golfer of all time, Tiger Woods.
Indubitably the best golfer of all time, Tiger Woods.
He's only 15, but he's been in a PGA qualifying event for the first time.
Yeah, didn't he shoot like an 89 or something?
He went quite a bit over, but I mean, it's a PGA course.
Yeah. And he's young.
And
he's
very young. So
very
the
young.
courses you and I play on are nowhere near PGA rated. So if listeners aren't aware, the courses that pros play on are not the courses that you can roll down to on a Saturday and Sunday. They are much more technically difficult to a much higher degree. And so Charlie's gone quite a bit over. But that was mostly due to one disastrous hole where he got 12 on a par 4.
Oh, God.
That's you and I.
He's literally me. Yeah.
That's you and I on a Saturday morning.
Six putting it on the green.
So if you
no, Charlie.
if you take that away, he's actually not done too bad.
Yeah, 12.
12
oh my
on
God.
a par 4.
I don't think I've ever hit a 12 on
It's
a par
bad.
4.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean,
It's bad.
I've probably gone. I've
done some 10s.
I've done some 10s.
Yeah.
I've done some 10s.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the level that we play at, if you get to 10, if you're doing 11 or 12, I'm writing 10 down.
I'm writing 10 down.
I'm writing
too.
10
I'm
for your
writing
score
10
down. For
too.
your score.
Yeah. I agree. I'm glad
But it's been an absolute circus for poor Charlie. I mean, he's only 15, so
Yeah.
and that's still an incredible score
on a PGA course for a fucking 15-year-old.
Clearly, in the
yes.
next 2-3 years, he's going to be incredible. But it was difficult for him because he had a circus of people following him around.
Of course.
The course officials were struggling to deal with the just mass hysteria.
And this is the level of Tiger's stardom. It's so we can't comprehend because I've only got
in the early 2000s, he was the biggest thing in the
man on
world.
Earth. He's the biggest man on earth, and like it was. I wasn't obviously watching golf back then. I was too young, and I didn't understand. And now I look at footage of any hole that Tiger was playing or any event that Tiger was playing at. The sea of people following him just to get a fucking look at him playing golf. Like it was mythic. It's thousands of people like devoted to him, devoted to Tiger. And then when the sex scandal happened, that was my sort of first introduction to like, oh wow, this Tiger Woods guy's really famous.
I kind of liked him more. After that.
It was.
We've talked about
how loving he was to his sexual conquest
and the type of women that he was going for.
just working class fillies,
single mums that he met at
single
Hooters.
mums and Hooters.
It's fantastic.
It would be a red rooster checkout chick. That's who I'm marrying. Yeah.
Got the glint in her eye. That's it. You're with the Tiger now.
And she's going to talk about that the rest of her life. That she had a hot steamy affair with the big Tiger. Should we go to the mailbag?
Yeah,
Yeah, a little
well,
mailbag. Yes, we've,
that's all I've got on the agenda.
That's
we can
absolutely
hit
fine.
the mailbag.
So we chucked all the old Instagram story up. Thank you to the people for the people who ask questions. Question number 1, Wheelsy, how was the Elimination Chamber? I have talked about that in the start of the pod.
We opened up the episode
It was
with that.
fucking awesome. It was
Yeah.
very, very good. I must say, one more thing I didn't talk about the Elimination Chamber. The pyro mixed with the fireworks.
Dude.
Oh my God. It was insane.
I started here. I watched the women's elimination chamber here, and then I jetted round the corner to Chloe's.
Yep.
And I was making her dinner, and while I was making dinner, it just went. She's over just down in Maylands, and
Yep.
if you're not from Perth, it's let's say a kilometre or less from the
Yes.
stadium. It was across the river. You just hear. Chloe's like, what the fuck? The dog's going off. I'm like, someone's just entered the ring.
Wrestling. It's wrestling, baby.
I think someone's either won or entered the ring.
So the biggest pyro, the first time I saw the fireworks, it was during Cody's entrance. That was the first time they used it in the show, and I didn't know, like,
because it was daytime earlier, so they wouldn't have used
wouldn't
it.
really do it. So Cody comes out for his segment, not even in a match. Just this is how big Cody
He did
is.
the Grayson Waller effect.
Yeah, and Cody's so over as a babyface right now. Like, everyone loves him. I love him.
I like him,
Even
yeah.
the Smarky fans are like, no, this guy
I'm quite
rules,
fresh
and we want him to win.
to his whole bit, and I'm into
But
it.
we're up in the nosebleeds here, and obviously he's got the in-arena pyro that was huge. Like, bang, 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 bang. All of the pyro hits. And then, like, 5 seconds into the pyro, behind our seats, I hear a and there's fireworks out on the river. I'm like, this is the fucking best thing ever.
Dude.
Huge. Amazing moment. Amazing moment.
The funniest part about the fireworks is I'm quite active on the r/Perth subreddit.
Oh, it's a touch and go, the Perth
there was a
subreddit.
few posts like, what the fuck's all this fireworks? Like, what the fuck's going on? And then just hundreds of comments. So, are you living under a rock?
Yeah, how do you not know this? How do you not know? How do you not know?
It's been the most publicised event in like years.
Yeah, someone with internet access doesn't know that WWE is in Perth. Very strange. Next one, Van the Man 02.
We love Van.
Long-time listener. We love Van. Will Verstappen win every race by minimum 1 minute this year, Corey?
Now,
testing has happened, hasn't it?
Yes, I didn't want to go into the testing too much because there has been a lot of stuff on the schedule.
Formula One,
today.
of course. Formula One.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Formula One testing has happened in Bahrain.
Yes.
3 days of
Is
testing.
Bahrain in the UAE?
Fuck
or
knows. I don't know.
what country is Bahrain in?
I think it is UAE.
Is Bahrain its own country or a city?
Fuck, it could be.
Is
I don't know.
Is it a Gulf state?
Oh, those Gulf states are the same, aren't they?
Did they finance 9/11?
They had a
Probably.
They had a finger in.
They had a finger in the
It's
pie
like
here or there.
the meme of all the people like cutting the cake and the Indian guy.
And the
with
guy
his
with just his hand. That's Bahrain.
That's Bahrain. They were spiritually there.
They did up the Excel spreadsheet that they did for the budgeting. That's it.
But yes, testing has been on. Some interesting looks at some of the new cars. Alpine, widely touted as the shittest.
So what did Alpine used to be?
Renault, and they still
Renault,
are.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
a Renault engine. It's the only car on the grid that has a Renault engine, but the chassis is built by Alpine.
See, when I think Renault, I think shitty hatchbacks. I don't think Formula One, you know?
No.
Can't shake that stigma for me. Because I want to pick a team to support. That's the thing.
If you're looking at the world of motorsport, World Rally Championship, Renault was quite huge.
Okay, yeah.
So is Peugeot.
Yep.
They're both French, I believe.
Renault
have to
French.
be,
Yeah.
But yeah, they're looking to be the shittest team of the year.
Yeah, okay.
Red Bull looking extraordinarily dominant.
Of course.
Looking
Of course, yeah.
huge. So to answer Van's question, will he win every race? No, it's impossible. It would take literally the stars aligning and to get that amount of engineering together to win every single race. No. Will he do as well as last year? Probably.
Yeah, okay. So how many races did he lose last year? Just 1 or 2?
3.
3. Okay, yep. So it'll be same thing. He wins Drivers' Championship.
Yes.
Red Bull win Constructors' Championship.
I think he will win the championship this year, but he's going to win much less races.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my boy Carlos Sainz can pick up a race.
Yeah,
hopefully.
well, this is the thing in testing. Obviously, this is Sainz last year in the Ferrari because Lewis Hamilton the biggest story of the off season. Lewis Hamilton's going to be driving for Ferrari next year.
Yep.
In testing, Sainz absolutely eclipsed Leclerc. But
It's
like
testing.
It's like match sims.
Yeah.
They could have said to Leclerc,
slow down.
You slow down, we'll get the data we need from Carlos fucking giving it to it. So you just never know with this stuff.
I like it. Very measured take.
And that is why I didn't delve into it. But thank you, Van, for asking, because I do love F1.
Lacause, I wonder who that is, says, why is Ben's head shaped like a house brick? Love the pod. Cheers. Thank you, Lacause. Long-time listener, first-time caller, I would imagine.
The reason I said that...
What's wrong with my head?
The reason I said that is because you texted me earlier. You said, oh, I'm a bit hungover. And I'm like, great. This is the perfect moment to test his wherewithal, and I'll send a question in and see if he blindly reads it. And you've started with the username, so unfortunate.
Yes, you can't. You're not going to get through to the goal that easy. I'm gonna have a little bit of a guard up, and it's shaped like a brick because it's just a big head. It's just a large head. Liam John 13, dear friend of the pod, should the AFL introduce promotion and relegation? Why/why not?
Look, now this conversation's been had many a time. It's the reason why not, and it will never, is because the chasm between AFL level and anything else is too great to overcome.
Yes, and also the infrastructure is not there to support a second tier
exactly
yet. Because you look at promotion and relegation for football in England football or Europe football, every one of these teams, no matter how low you get into the lower grades, they've got some sort of ground that is their own.
And the grounds are close together.
The grounds are closer together, and they're well facilitated, and it's designed.
So if you look at a fund, that's absolutely the number one point why it works so well in England, because of the grounds being close together and stocked. But I mean, if you just look at the funding and the sports science, like in the waffle, you would take Claremont, or Subiaco, either one, but they would be the top candidate. If you were to take their team right now and face them against the Eagles at their lowest point last year, the Eagles are winning by 100 points.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
There's not a fucking chance that guys that have second jobs and don't undergo sports science regiments every day of their lives are beating an AFL team. You just can't. They're professional athletes, and until there's no until. There's never going to be a time when a secondary league is big enough, and the sport of AFL is too athletic. Something like soccer, you can have a skill set where that can be improved upon with sports science and stuff. But AFL, if you're not at the top flight of your bodily condition, then you're just not going to win.
Absolutely
it's
correct.
impossible.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
That is such a good answer to that question. Nicely put. We've got Liam Nilsson. Heard the Pendle song on SEN. Was sensational.
Fantastic.
Any other players you have your eyes on? Now,
That's a good question.
I'm going to read you out of my notes app now because I have been coming up with concepts all week for this, and I'll use you as a sounding board for this, Corey.
Yep, beautiful.
Let me know what you think about these potential titles. Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, but it's Grundy for Nothing, and you can talk about.
Fuck me.
You got Grundy for nothing because they're paying his contract, and in the trade, like Grundy for nothing and something for free.
The taps
could be a tick.
That's a huge tick up to me.
I've been thinking of doing Somewhere Only We Know by Keane, but replacing it with You Shouldn't Have Sacked Michael Ferrito, about the Michael Ferrito getting sacked by the
that one's more niche.
But
I
you think that's niche?
If you were going to go into the club, If you were going to be in the club, that's great.
I'm a really big fan of Michael Ferrito. Baby Blue by Badfinger, you know, the song that is the ending song for Breaking Bad. My baby blue.
Yep.
But instead of it, it's Stewie Jew. And then it's a sad ballad about him being sacked.
That's very good. That's very good.
You know, ABBA, Fernando, Taranto. You know, that's a very easy one. Frank Sinatra, That's Life, but you could go, Nat 5. The people say.
I think that's my favourite.
That's a good one, isn't it?
I think that's my favourite.
I quite like that one. So those are just a few. Those are just a few things that you can maybe.
Nat 5.
Nat 5.
That's going to be stuck.
All the people say.
That's going to be
a new one. Or Layla by Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton. But it's Quainer. So those are a few. Those are a few little nuggets. That I've got in the notes app.
That's very, very good.
And we got one more question here. Thank you for that question, Liam Nielsen. Almost Liam Neeson, but not quite.
Oh.
Benzo145.
Oh, Jesus.
Says,
hopefully that's Benzo and not like I like benzodiazepines.
I just popped a couple of valleys and I'm going right into the mailbag. Best culture around a footy rivalry. Which is the best culture around a footy rivalry? Great question.
Well, that is a great question. Well, I do love the Collingwood-Carlton rivalry.
Collingwood-Carlton's pretty timeless.
It's timeless. Do some of them take it a little bit too seriously? Yes, they do. So perhaps that's not the best example. I like the culture around the GWS Bulldogs rivalry.
I love that, yes.
Because it stemmed from something that's recent and ongoing, like that set of finals, and they've always just been brutal ever since. I do like that, and also they're quite good sports about it, both the players and the fans.
Yes,
I do enjoy that.
I quite like the Q Clash. I don't know what it is about the Q Clash.
It's because they keep trying to make it happen.
Yeah, but
it's not a clash.
But correct me if I'm wrong. There's been a lot of banging Q clashes like that. They end up no matter what position the two teams are in. The Q clash will bring it out. The magic of the Q clash will come out. There's something in the humidity up there that just brings out some nice football.
Go on, Troppo.
Go on, Troppo. It's a very tropical rivalry. I actually quite like. It goes without saying, Anzac Day rivalry. The Anzac Day game's pretty good.
Well, surely that's the answer, isn't it?
Might be our answer there. Anzac Day is pretty special.
So many classic games, and like you said about the Q Clash, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where they are in the ladder, and that's. Yeah, that is the line whenever anyone talks. Doesn't matter where they are. Doesn't matter where they are. It's a cracker.
Well, the West. We'd be remiss not to talk about the Western Derby because we are in Perth.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the question, if I'm not mistaken, was about the best culture.
The best culture, yeah.
And the culture between rivals of the Eagles and the Dockers is awful. Because,
it's quite toxic, to be honest.
And that's all from the Eagles side.
Oh, throwing out some fighting words here.
Dockers fans are fucking great.
Yep.
Dockers fans are fucking great. And Eagles every time are like, where's your trophy cabinet? Oh, there's nothing in it. Like, shut up. Like, shut up.
What I like about the Western Derby history and culture, everyone talks about how good it is because one time everyone punched each other.
Everyone just fucking got into it.
The Demolition Derby, they called it.
Every now and then, late at night, I do stick on the highlights from the Demo
it's
Derby.
Amazing.
It's fucking fantastic.
Some of the best football boxing I've ever seen was from Michael Gardner.
Michael
Gardner on Pavlich
gets him up, and he
looked like a boxer.
It's round 4 of the heavyweight title.
So he's piecing up Matthew Pavlich, like
short
jab, cross,
hooks.
And Pav is trying to hit him back, and he's like bobbing the head, like just fucking walking him down.
It is
duck,
fantastic.
Move head, jab, cross, like duck, move head, go inside. Mike Tyson hook to the body. He's floating around there. I'm like, are you a ruckman or are you a fucking Floyd Mayweather? It's amazing.
And all made better by the fact that he was probably high on meth at the time.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Well, you can't be that good at boxing unless you're high on meth. There comes a level of crackhead finesse with the hands that you can only get in Perth, in Northbridge, from a guy on James Street at 3 a.m.
Being born and bred in Perth, you do have
You
a bit
do
of
have
quickness
innate
to the
boxing
hands.
ability. You kind of do.
You're at the bus stop, you're shadow boxing.
You know, the last interesting thing to happen in a derby was just all the Eagles getting injured in that that opening round game
Yeah,
from
that was
a
brutal.
year or two ago.
To the point their bench was shortchanged, and
Yeah.
the commentators were talking about, like, I mean, what happens if
Yeah.
they go down to 17? It's never happened. This is insane.
Me and Nadia were watching that game, and it was like, it didn't seem real. It didn't seem real. There was like 6 injuries.
The next guy would go down. He's like, what?
And I was looking at it,
Another one.
looking at it on the AFL app live, and I'm like looking at all the out on the team lineups.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to do. I do,
Well,
like,
the
do we
interesting-
do we stop the match?
The
Like,
interesting thing about that was, like, in the weeks following, I read submissions by sports scientists, like different types of sports scientists and statisticians that were like, well, yeah, like it made complete sense because it's exponential. Once you get to a critical point of not being able to rotate legs, then
Yeah.
everyone's spending longer out. Their chances of being injured just goes higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's-
You're cramping up.
yeah.
You're going to do your calf.
The more guys you take away, the
Yeah.
faster the remaining ones are going to go.
Well,
It's like, you know what?
that's-
That's fucking real smart science, man.
Well, that's why, like the introduction of heavy rotations into the AFL was such a tactical revolution. You know, the first guy to do it?
Mick Malthouse.
No, Chris Connolly for Freo.
Oh, really?
They were all of no. He's not credited enough for
I thought
doing this.
Malthouse was the guy who was
No,
like,
Chris-
Swanee, get on there for 3 minutes and then get the fuck off.
Malthouse took it to a new level.
Yeah.
But the people who did it first, the coach who did it first was Chris Connolly. He had an assistant guy that was influenced by ice hockey. And
Yes.
and it was like, why are we not rotating
Yeah.
more? If we
And
get fresh legs on,
that's exactly what
we
the
can keep
Malthouse
doing it.
thing
Yeah,
is
he just
about.
did like 150 in a game. Yeah,
They saw ice hockey as well.
yeah, it was a big cultural movement for the game. And Lee Matthews says, there's a quote from Lee Matthews that said it was the biggest tactical turning point in the
Yes.
game's history.
Well,
the heavy rotations.
It spawned on the modern era. Like it is the
Absolutely.
reason why we have the game that we have. I mean, that and the 2006 Eagles, I think, are the two things.
Yes.
The two things that have formed the modern game are those.
Yes, so high rotations and cocaine.
Yes.
And I think that's a good way to leave it, ladies and gentlemen, for this week. Thank you for listening to the episode. Barely touched him on all platforms. Give us a follow.
No matter where you're listening, whether it be Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if you can give us a 5 stars and a
do
review,
that. Do that.
that helps a lot. We don't have a Patreon or any ads. If you just give us 5 stars and a little review, that would be fantastic.
Love you forever.